All right, my friends, comparing decimals. The first step is to line up the decimals. So to write the numbers on top of one another, but make sure the decimals are, decimals are lined up. Okay, because otherwise we're not comparing the places to the places. If I were comparing 87 and 9, I'm not going to write 87 and 9 and say, oh, well, look, the 9 is bigger than the 8, so the 9 must be bigger. It's like, no, the 9 is in the ones place, so I would need to write the 9 in the ones place. You don't need to write that. If you did, no problem, but you don't need to. That was just to prove my point of why we need to line up the decimals, to make sure that my places are lined up. That ensures that my ones are with my ones, and my tenths are with my tenths, and my hundredths are with my hundredths. Because I wouldn't want to compare my hundredths with my tenths. Because remember when we did the visual decimals, the tenths are much bigger than the hundredths and the thousandths, so they count for more. If you need to, you can write zeros so that they are the same length. This is sort of an optional step that can help you to visualize if you need it. So they are the same length. Now, is this the only way to do it? No. Are there other correct ways to do it? Absolutely. But these are some good guidelines that can help you, especially if you're stuck on one. So do write this. Say I have 3 and 27 hundredths as compared to 3 and 9 thousandths. Now, everything in your brain might be telling you, okay, 27 is bigger than 9, so this one must be bigger. But remember, this is 27. If I have 3 and 9 tenths, that is the same thing as 90 hundredths. So this 3 and 9 tenths is bigger because the tenths are worth more. This one only has 2 tenths. This one has 9 tenths. If we think about those cubes, this one has 9 of those flat pieces. This one only has 2 of them, plus 7 of the lines. 9 flat things are worth more than the 2 and the 7 little skinny things. Okay? So that's why we have to make sure we line up the decimals, because if it's in a more left place, it is worth more. Okay? That's why, again, writing that 0 can help us see that. All right. 8 and 29 thousandths, 8 and 436 thousandths. If they're already the same length, it can be more clear. It's like, oh, 436 is more than 129. 4 is more than 1. So then 8 and 129 thousandths is less than 8 and 436 thousandths. They're different lengths, so this is where it can be trickier. 7 and 12 hundredths as compared to 7 and 8 tenths. I wrote them vertically. I made sure my decimals were lined up so that my tenths place were lined up. I can write that 0 to make them the same length. So then I see, 12 hundredths is less than 80 hundredths. Even though 12 is bigger than 8, but we're not talking about whole numbers. We're talking about decimals. So 7 and 12 hundredths is less than 7 and 8 tenths because tenths are worth more. This one only has 1 tenth. That one has 8 tenths. Think about cents. 12 cents is less than 80 cents. And this does mean 80 cents even though it's only an 8. Because, again, it's in the tenths place. 11 and 45 hundredths, 11 and 128 thousandths. Again, you might be thinking 45. Well, that's less than 128, but let's follow our steps and compare. 45, 11, and 128. All right, I lined up my decimals so that my tenths are lined up. Okay, I can either just start and compare my tenths and say, oh, 4 is bigger than 1, or I can put my 0 and say, oh, 450 is bigger than 128. So 11 and 45 hundredths is greater than 11 and 128 thousandths. Again, flip back to your notes, the page where we were looking at decimals visually with the cubes. Okay, this one is telling me I have 4 of those flat pieces and 5 lines of 10 each. This one, I have 1 flat piece. I do have 2 lines, and then I have 8 of the little cubes. Okay, which one is more? Well, this one is clearly more pieces because it has these big flat things, so it is more, even though this one might seem like it at first. All right? You have to think about what they actually mean. 42 and 3/10, 4 and 23/10. They both go 4, 2, 3, but the numbers are in different places. You can either look and say, oh, 42 wholes versus 4 wholes. 42 is definitely more. If I followed my steps and I wrote my decimal, okay, add a 0, I can see, oh, this is 42, this is 4, 42 is greater. No matter what comes after the decimal, 42 is greater. Okay, this one, 9 and 506 thousandths, 9 and 56 thousandths. I included this one simply because it might have the same digits and we have to make sure we're looking carefully. Okay, once we write it out, 506 is greater than 56. But again, the 5, the 0, the 6, look carefully so you're really making sure you can see which one's bigger. Now these both are 3 and 9, but 3 and 9/10 versus 3 and 9/100, 9/10 is a lot more than 9/100. Or you can think about 90/100 as compared to 9/100. Again, flip back to where we visualized them if you need to see, oh, if I have a thing and I split it into tenths, 9 of them is almost the whole thing. If I split it into 100 pieces and I only color in 9 of those pieces, that's not very much of it. So 9/10 is definitely bigger. Think about how big the numbers are. Don't just go by the digits and your first feeling, because it might not be right. So make sure you really look at it and ask for help if you need. Good luck.